all set? All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I know I'm speaking a little bit earlier than planned, but I'm really excited to be here. I came from Washington, D.C., where I'm based, but Vancouver is one of my favorite cities, and so I'm really excited to be back here with you all at the Vancouver conference, sharing some research that I did on how small and mid-sized businesses use data and giving some advice about how they can improve to get even better. So I am an associate principal analyst for a software buyer-facing website called GetApp. GetApp is basically TripAdvisor for B2B software. So the idea behind GetApp is that if you're a small or mid-sized business owner and you need any type of software for your business, whether it's HR or marketing, you would go to getapp.com, read LinkedIn verified reviews of thousands of products, filter for the features you need, and ultimately choose the best tool for your business. So at GetApp, I lead business intelligence research. So that means I research things like predictive analytics, data mining, things of that nature. I also do a lot of research into indirect bias in the data sets used to train machine learning algorithms. That's not my dog. That's a picture of me at the Open Source Summit in Vancouver in the summer 2018. And so that's at the Vancouver Convention Center a year and a half ago. And that's where I first actually presented on the subject of bias in AI. So that's another reason coming back to Vancouver is really special for me. So these aren't data scientists. This is from a protest in Washington, D.C. advocating for science and more funding for science. But I wanted to put this slide up here because I think the sentiment towards data scientists is pretty similar to what you see here. There's a lot of hype around data science as a discipline and around hiring data scientists. Harvard Business Review actually called data science the sexiest job of the 21st century in an article. LinkedIn's co-founder told Knowledge at Wharton that data science jobs have grown 15 to 20 times in volume over the last 3 years. And since demand for data scientists outpaced supply, a lot of people can often earn six-figure salaries just when they're starting out. So that seems like a really great career to go into. But the reality is a little more complicated than that. There's a survey that came out in the UK late last year, which found that more than half of British data scientists said that they planned to look for new jobs in 2020. And when they were asked for the reasons why, 44% cited bureaucracy and 29% cited lack of support from leadership for their jobs. And both of those answers outpaced not having the right tools to do data science, which came in at 28% of the reason why they want to leave their jobs. And I think these results are sad, but they don't surprise me based on what I know from business intelligence research, because what I've found is that despite this high demand for data scientists, most businesses haven't laid the groundwork yet to help you all succeed in the companies you work for. And I know this because GetApp surveyed nearly 500 employees at North American businesses last year that had, so they surveyed nearly 500 employees at North American businesses that had 500 or fewer employees. So the idea was to survey people who are working at North American small and mid-sized businesses. And we wanted to learn two things. We wanted to learn how these people use data to make really high-level business decisions and how confident they are or not in using that data. So we also wanted to learn if having tools and colleagues that are devoted to data, like data scientists, increases their confidence in using data to make decisions in the business. So we surveyed people across 5 different industries, and I'll give some overviews of the results per industry here. So for example, we found that 85% of small business leaders in accounting really rely on Excel to both collect and analyze data. And that's not surprising, and Excel is still a really powerful tool. It's arguably one of, if not the most powerful business software ever created. but it was never built to handle the volume of big data that we have today. And that's where you run into issues if you're trying to use it as your only business intelligence tool. And so this over-reliance on Excel for accountants leads to a lack of insights derived from data. 54% of accountants told us they need more predictive analytics features to anticipate risks in their business. And 11% actually said they have too much data to make effective decisions. So having too much data is sometimes just as detrimental as having too little. Then we also surveyed people in marketing and sales, and we found a lot of overlap, but also some differences. So marketers were more likely to say that they had the right data to make big decisions, and nearly 2 in 3 use Google Analytics, but they also were most likely to report having the highest amounts of missing data. And then on the sales side, they were the least likely to have a data scientist in their organization, and they were also the least likely to say that they have the right data and insights to make business decisions. Both groups do rely pretty heavily on Google Analytics for data analysis. They both, in various ways, said that they could really use more data visualization features. And they had pretty low levels of confidence, both groups, in their data quality. So 35% of marketers didn't feel comfortable with the quality of their data, and 42% of sales leaders didn't feel comfortable with the quality of their data. We also surveyed leaders in healthcare, and I think these results were really interesting to me because the volume of data in healthcare is so large. And so they actually, as a sector, had the highest utilization rate of data compared to their peers. But when it came to making big decisions, their levels of confidence were actually the lowest of every industry we surveyed. So 1 in 4 healthcare leaders says they use over 90% of the data total available to them. But 1 in 4 also feels least confident of the 5 sectors in their ability to collect relevant data. People in healthcare also told us that they wanted more customer satisfaction scores to make better decisions. And that was really interesting to me because that's a form of unstructured data, which is notoriously difficult for AI to analyze already, especially in healthcare. So that's an example of how they're at risk of not having the right data to make decisions. And almost 40% said they wanted more performance metrics on their own business to make better decisions. And finally, that brings us to the information technology sector. It's probably not surprising to hear that they were, of all sectors, the most likely to have a data scientist or analyst on their teams, but that didn't necessarily translate into having the right insights from the data available to them. So 58% of people in IT have at least 2 employees in their org who collect and analyze data, but 42% said they wanted more competitor analysis to analyze their market share, and 16% said they have the right amount of data but not the right insights. So despite all of these differences, we found a few common threads across all 5 industries. So across the 5 industries surveyed, we found a positive correlation between how confident people are in using their data for decision making and how important they feel data is to the business. So there's a positive correlation there in sentiment towards using data for business decisions and having the right data to make those decisions. We also, unsurprisingly, found that employing data scientists makes business leaders much more confident that they have those right data and insights that they need to make decisions. We also found that companies with full-time employees analyzing data use business intelligence software more often than those who don't. And we also found that the people who use business intelligence software rate the database decisions they make as more impactful, which is another case for investing in tools beyond Excel and Google Analytics to analyze your data and the vast volumes of it that you have. And when I review these results, I see a clearer picture why data scientists might be looking for new jobs. These results show me that businesses value you, but they don't always understand you. So many organizations are launching data science teams without a clear understanding of the breadth or depth of skills that they need, both technical and non-technical. So IT and business leaders alike often expect data scientists to be experts in infrastructure, enterprise architecture, machine learning operations, really an enormous breadth of skills. All of these are needed to support data science projects, but it's an enormous ask, especially considering that there's already a huge requirement for education to get into the sector, and you're already also supposed to be expected to do stakeholder management. So really, it's an almost impossible ask of one person to do all of that. And meanwhile, a lot of data scientists often enter their organizations lacking expertise and experience in particular industries. And they also can sometimes lack business understanding of the company's objectives, which is going to limit what they can actually achieve with data. So both groups end up talking past each other, even though they really desperately need each other. And so two things struck me as I reviewed the results I shared with you. The first is pretty obvious. Investing in data-focused tools and employees will yield to improved outcomes using data in the business. The businesses that feel the most comfortable with data are the same ones who create roles devoted to owning it, and they also invest in software and other data science tools for their employees to use rather than making excuses about budget constraints. But the second point is, I think, maybe less obvious. I think to solve this problem moving forward, businesses need to do a better job at decentralizing their data. So this is going to involve giving each team leader the autonomy to use data within their particular domains. So even if you're not a data scientist in here, if you manage a sales team or a hospital, leaders across all lines of business should really be empowered and trained to boost their team's outcomes using data and connect those results back to the bigger business strategy. And so to do this, it's important for tech leads across, to let leaders across HR, marketing, customer success, and all of these lines of business use the same BI tools to collect and apply data to their own domains. And that doesn't have to be as complicated as it sounds. It actually can lead to creating a new type of leader in your organization. So my company talks a lot about the concept of a citizen data scientist. And basically, it's employees who use BI software features like drag and drop models and visualizations to explain data's relevance to their teams and connect it back to the bigger business. And so that approach creates a new type of leader. And this role is informal, so this isn't something that you need to hire for. These people who are citizen data scientists in your business are going to have diverse job titles and responsibilities throughout the organization, and they are all helping ultimately to integrate data into new and existing business processes. That's because, unlike data scientists who are often expensively recruited from elsewhere and often have very high levels of education, citizen data scientists are already part of your business. And so the key benefit that they bring to you is that they have deep knowledge of your tech stack, strategy, and customer pain points that they can bring to each data visualization they create. And citizen data scientists, I don't think, are just a nice to have, and they aren't intended to replace data scientists. So the idea here is that both traditional data scientists and citizen data scientists bring their own unique skills to any organization of any size. And so utilizing those skills by having them collaborate in the same tools can alleviate a lot of the problems we've seen so far. And I think this bears repeating because it's really no longer enough for one employee in your business to own all database decisions or for any business to avoid investing in the tools, training, and employees who can take data usage to the next level, because realistically moving forward, there's so much data being created every day that if you want to make better decisions at all in your business, you're going to have no choice but to use analytics in some form of BI. So if that's your commitment early in this, we're still early in the year, so if that's what you're trying to do in 2020, there are some things you can do to get started as soon as you walk out of the room. So the first is that you want to write a mission statement for how you're going to use data in the organization. You want to clarify here how data is going to grow your business in 1 or 2 written sentences. And the more specific you can be here, the better. So it's not enough to say, our company will give all teams the tools and training they need to make database decisions. Instead, you want to get as specific as possible. So you want to identify a clear leader in the organization to own this and what they're going to do to drive a very specific business outcome. So here you could do something like our CTO will enable all team leads to access data within your BI analytics tool of choice. This will empower everyone to achieve our shared business goal of increasing customer satisfaction scores by 10% in 2020. You don't have to put pressure on yourself to keep this mission statement static. You can review and update it as your business needs evolve. But the key is to always keep it focused on your desired business outcomes, because connecting data analysis back to the big picture will train everybody in the business to use it more thoughtfully and be using data towards a shared goal. The second step is that you want to take this mission statement and then translate it into a data strategy roadmap. To successfully use data, you'll need to connect the right types and amounts of data back to business problems that you can solve with it. So you should base your strategy on data management and analytics practices that support specific business goals like we just talked about. So once you've written your data's mission statement, you're going to want to start building a roadmap and tracking your progress towards achieving it. So this roadmap will show the initiatives you'll take to achieve your mission statement and your plan for executing that work. It will also let you compare new requests for data against your current plan. So this is a really good opportunity to be collaborating with the product managers in your organizations, because they're already working on their business roadmaps. So any opportunity to put your own roadmap for using data in alignment with theirs is really going to benefit the business at large. And the goals for your data roadmap are really to build business consensus for a few key things. How you're going to use data, confirming which business goals you'll achieve using it, along with the types of data and tools needed to achieve those goals, because you will need particular types of data to achieve these business goals. And you also want to autonomously own that framework for your whole business to see how data is used now and how you want to use it in the future. Like any roadmap and like your mission statement, this roadmap isn't static, so it's going to evolve along with your business needs and data usage as a living document. The key is really to use it as a North Star for understanding how your business makes decisions, and if you and your colleagues know the value that the data serves, you can use it throughout the year to find more effective insights. And the last way that you can really find those insights is to build a data steering committee that's cross-functional across your business. And this committee is going to have 4 really key goals. You're going to want to set priorities for data usage, resolve resource conflicts, approve any funding for business intelligence tools and initiatives or new ways to use data. And you also want to be getting together to find new opportunities to use data throughout the business, because that's how you can find ways of using it that you might not have before. You will need to consider the size of this committee relative to your business size. So a smaller committee is going to be able to schedule meetings faster and more often, along with realistically solving problems faster. But if you choose to make the committee small and intentionally or not exclude leaders in other lines of business, you risk losing buy-in across the organization. So the size of the committee really depends on the size of your business and what you're trying to achieve, but you do want to think about making it as inclusive of all leaders as possible so that you can get that buy-in throughout the year. And to alleviate that risk of losing buy-in, like I said, you're going to want to have 1 leader, ideally per line of business, serve on the committee. And these really are your citizen data scientists. So this is how you put that abstract concept to work in a tangible way. And you're also going to want to include the person who oversees your company's architecture and those responsible for source systems that feed the analytics environment. Your goal is not to create a ton more work for everyone, including yourself, but you are going to want to show every committee member how invaluable data is to their work and how this committee will ultimately improve all of their outcomes. And so I wanted to end this by reiterating that the amount of data today really has been a positive, but also has created a lot of problems. We've seen an enormous amount of data today that our data centers and traditional software can't support, and that means a lot of businesses often don't know what to do with it, and ultimately that results in data itself not necessarily having inherent value if you don't know how to use it correctly. Because like I mentioned earlier, tools like Excel, they're powerful and useful, but they weren't built to handle the amount of data that's available today. And data is now more relevant than ever to every area of business. I know in marketing, for example, spend on analytics and business intelligence tools is outpacing everything right now, including content. And so that relevance to all lines of business means it can't just sit with IT anymore. And it shouldn't all rest on your shoulders as data scientists either, because you should have the business support that you need to be driving these initiatives forward and doing more than data cleaning. The problem is that the road to becoming a data-driven org is really long, and so there's a lot of risk involved. You could invest in the wrong business intelligence tool, you could not know maybe which data points are used to solve each problem, and so it can often seem like the risks of using data are too high, but the reality is that you can't afford not to use it, and laying some groundwork, like I spoke about here, can erase a lot of pain points. So to do a quick recap, you're going to want to do 3 things to succeed with data in an organization. As a data scientist, you're going to want to write a mission statement for how your company wants to use data. You are going to want to create a roadmap for your data strategy in alignment with product. And you're going to want to build a cross-functional data steering committee comprised of leaders across the business who can act as citizen data scientists and strategic partners for you throughout your career. So here are 2 recommended readings that I would suggest taking a look at if you're interested more in the concept of what a citizen data scientist is. This is a infographic at the top that I created for GetApp on the subject a bit more, going over some differences. And the citizen data scientist concept really has evolved from research at Gartner, and so there's a blog post there as well on this topic. So thank you very much for having me speak today, and I hope that you will do great things with data moving forward. Thank you.